with a few things. So let me just start off with, I was reading in the Harvard Business Review, and they said the reason people ghost you is sometimes telling someone no can be incredibly hard. I'm in the dating game sometimes, and I think a lot of people are in the world, and we meet someone, we think it's going really well, we've had that connection, gone on a date, we're chatting, and then suddenly poof, they disappear. And I'm sitting in the seat of going, oh my goodness, what have I done wrong? But it's really important for us as sellers or professionals to remember that telling someone no is an incredibly difficult thing for some people. Another option is people don't like to put themselves in maybe what could be a conflict-based conversation. So they'd rather avoid it. Another option that the Harvard Business Review speaks about is maybe they're just no updates to share. And the last is maybe they're just really, really busy. I was also listening to Simon Sinek. I'm not too sure if you're familiar with him. I'm sure you are. But he speaks about, when people ghost someone, it's because they are avoiding having a difficult conversation with them. And when we ghost someone, we forget about the destruction that we kind of cause on the other person's receiving end, because they lived with all those insecurities of, what have I done? Is it me? Do I smell bad? Am I being weird? Was the connection not there? So my quick talk today is how we can eliminate being in that position, questioning and going through what we did in our sales process. So the first part to look at as a sales professional is, where is our winning zone? Do we understand what will motivate our prospects to buy from us or from you? Okay. And what helps differentiate you from your competitors? So competition exists. It's healthy. It keeps us on our toes. It's so necessary. But if you had to think about, when you speak to prospects, are you talking about costs and inefficiencies? Do you sound similar to your competitors? Do you even look similar to your competitors? A lot of you may be sitting there going, well, no, we don't. Our service offering is really special. But if we had to take a step back and all we're saying is we're faster, better, stronger, more pretty, like packaged in a real way, what does that actually mean? We can't hide behind those adjectives. And so when I say is, what we need to do is we need to focus on our winning zone. Where is it that we, as sales professionals and humans, are uniquely differentiated from our competition? That our service offering is unique to all of those people that we are encountering with. And that is a really, really important part to begin with, because it helps us then stay focused and keep having those conversations that take us back to that winning zone. As soon as we move out of our winning zone, we're not offering value to our prospect. And when we have conversations that are filled with value, people will respond to you. They may not give you the answer that you like, but at least you are able to get through to the truth and the honest. The honest objections or intention behind their next steps or actions. So it's really important for us to stay in that winning zone and identify what that looks like. So there is a whole world out there, okay? And it's vast. But for us to define what our winning zone is we take that vast and we make it more and more and more specific. So what does that look like, right? Are we sure what that looks like for ourselves and what that sounds like? Because if we can't differentiate it for ourselves even, how are we expecting our prospects to do that? Often prospects will say, well, I've done all this research, and it's them on their buyer journey, done all of this research. I've gone and checked out all these different vendors where, these five kind of sound similar. Let's have a quick meeting to see what they have to offer. Maybe we can negotiate on price, because this seems to be the place that we can go in and have a valuable conversation with them. For us as a salesperson, we're so elated nowadays that someone's actually just picked up the phone and said yes to a meeting. And we go and we do our demonstration and we show them what we're all about. And then we leave that meeting and we're like, yes, That was a powerful conversation that we had. The deal is in the bag. Meanwhile, in the prospect's mind, they're like, cool. So after Shayna, we're going to go and meet with Selvin. And then we're going to go and meet with Donovan. And then we're going to go and meet with Khanse. Okay. And so that's going to take a 2-week process. And then we're still going to decide if any of those are speaking to our needs. So one of the ways that we take, we take it from the broader to the more specific is we look at the winning zone. And then within our winning zone, do we know who we need to communicate with? And what I mean by that is, who is the buyer persona that you are specifically talking to? For example, for myself, I am in the Sales Enablement Company. I talk to a lot of chief revenue officers, sales managers, sales leaders, sales directors. Not all of them have the same jobs that need to be done. And I refer to this jobs to be done because it's up to us as sales professionals to understand what each of those individuals need to solve for. What keeps them up at night? What makes them almost lose their job if they do not make sure that they meet this KPI or the strategy that the company has implemented? Okay, so the more we understand what our personas need to do, the more it helps us then to angle our value offering and the way we communicate with this person in a more specific way. The more we start having specific conversations, the more the prospect then starts to trust us. It's such a huge thing. Forgive me, I am a little bit nervous. It's quite weird having quiet blobs on the screen, but it is what it is. I'm also a human, so we carry on. Right, so the most important thing is how does our prospect or the persona buyer work on a day-to-day? Do we understand what that looks like? So the next point that I say is we've gone from our understanding what our winning zone looks like, where we are uniquely differentiated, that our messaging is very specific to that target market. We move in and now we go even smaller and more focused on who is the person we need to speak to. Do we understand how the features benefit this prospect that we want to talk to? So for example, if it's a sales manager, what problem does that sales manager have today to care about how my product can solve for them? Are we adding value and showing them that they can immediately solve for these things? And is it easy? Because often when we meet with people, it's so clear in our minds because this is our world, everyone. You know, we become so lost in everything. Thanks, Nick. We get so lost in our own inner discourse. You know, it's like the WhatsApp tone I speak about in my training. We often send a message and the intention is not what is perceived on the other end, okay? So are we making it easy for our prospects to understand what our value is and how we can solve their pain? Problems are experienced by organizations. Pain is personal. So it's really important for us to start to position our conversations and the way we build our questions to uncover the pain that buyer persona may be experiencing. Buying is an emotional experience. It's deeply emotional. Pleasure purchases take way longer. But if you are in pain, if I've had a headache for 2 weeks that is so debilitating and someone had to thank you, Wesley. If someone had to if Wesley had to pop up on my screen and say, hey, Shayna, I have this magic pill. It's going to cost you 250 Rand, but it is immediate relief and it'll take your migraine away. Guess what? I'm going to throw 250 Rand at that because I need that pain to go away immediately. It's the same. Often I ask my clients that I'm working with, do you feel, and maybe you guys can pop this in the chat quickly, do you feel that you are different to your prospects? I'll maybe give you 2 minutes because I'm going into like the last little bit of my speech. Or maybe hold it, but think about it. Do you see yourself as different to your prospects that you are selling to? And I'm going to say, why then? Because generally it's not, because I'm a human and everyone else is on this call with me is a human. All of us are. Thank you for the support and encouragement from other humans. I really appreciate that. Together we can, right? But if we are the same, why are we treating our prospects differently and putting them through this like cat and mouse game in a sense? So the more open and honest we can be with them, and the more specific we can be about saying, hi, Selvin, I see you as a sales manager. From my research of this target market, I understand that you may be battling with ensuring that your sales team are hitting their target on a month-to-month basis, that you're upset about finding time to coach them so that they can be the best that they can be, that you are able to help field calls so that they can learn where they can be stronger in their discovery. So it's really important for us to build out those questions that are not about us, but about your prospect. When we swap and make that change, the game actually opens up for us. Exactly. Thank you, Nkululeko. Yes, it's so important to be able to put us in our prospect's shoes. But the more specific we get about it, so if we're saying, hi, and you cold calling is tough, guys. It is one of the toughest things. You have a lot that you need to sort out in probably 60 seconds of your life. But the more we are specific to them, the more we're able to open up those conversations. So we don't start off with like, hi, I'm Shayna from the Sales Enablement Company. This was founded with blah, blah. No one cares. No one cares. Everyone wants to know, what is it in for them? So how do we then make sure we align our pain statements to the problems that we can solve for them immediately? And is it easy for them to understand? Because a lot of times prospects ghost us when we go and we do a demonstration. We've got them in the interest, but just the way that we communicate, is our language simple? Is it clear for them to understand? And do we go straight in and go, hey, Davey, when we spoke, you raised these 3 points. Your top one was making sure that your sales team could hit their numbers on a month-to-month basis. In my presentation today, I'm starting with your top number one pain. This is how you can do it, and you give them clear, achievable steps that they can so that it becomes easy, because a lot of the times prospects walked away from those conversations without having any value, and they go, oh my goodness, this is too difficult, it's too complicated. I'd actually, what's that saying, rather the devil you know than the devil you don't. I don't want to change anything. And so there we're dealing with resistance, but it's not about going into combat. It's about opening up that conversation and go, Davey, I completely understand where you're coming from. But if we could just shift it out in these things and come up with step by step, a clear strategy together of help you win, would you be open to engaging with us in a conversation? So that's the two main points about how you can stop people from ghosting. Understand thy winning zone. Are you playing in your winning zone where your shoal of fish for your specific unique company offering is for your taking? Okay. When we go through and then speak to the personas in our winning zone, are we communicating clearly to say, hi, Mr. Persona, I understand some of the things that you need to do. I can help you solve for that. I just want to check, is this really happening in your world? And through discovery, we're able to do that. One of the most important things for us to understand is in a sales conversation, if you are calling or going through a demonstration, your talk time should actually be 40%. Your prospect should be 60%. How do we get there? We ask questions. The person who asks questions is in control of the conversation. It's just like going to a doctor. Why do we go to a doctor? Because we need something to be solved. How do they get there to the bottom of the problem? They ask us questions. And then what do? They prescribe something that will help us. We kind of have to stop thinking that we are going to throw and feature bomb and throw all the information of why we're bigger, better, etc. on our prospects and actually start to understand their world. What is going on with them, and can we actually help them? So winning zone, know your persona, and build better questions to unpack that pain that they are experiencing. The last nuggets of wisdom that I'm going to share with you is next steps. I'm not too sure if anyone in this conversation with me today has ever been in a demonstration, and 5 minutes before the end of the meeting, your prospects needs to then leave and dash out, and you're chasing after them going, oh, okay, cool, I'll send you an email. And you send an email, and you phone, and you email, and you get nothing. You hear crickets. They've ghosted you, right? It's so important at the top of every sales meeting to just put it out there as your plan, as your agenda, to ask everyone, can we stop 5 minutes before the end of this meeting? No hard decisions need to be made today, but all we want to do is just get a feel of what you're thinking, and if you think that what we've shown you today could help you solve what you're looking to solve for. What that does is it immediately communicates to your prospects, hi, I need a commitment or a decision from you today. And it's agreed upon between both of you. You are not imposing anything on anyone, but it's a clear communication. So everyone is certain about what is happening. They have been able to say, you're allowing them to say yes or no. Remember, people don't want to have, difficult conversations sometimes. But if we allow that platform for the truth to come out, then we're able to get the truth. If they say no, we disqualify, we say thank you so much, and then we go back to our winning zone, and we go back to those personas, and we play in there. And if we get a yes, then we set up clear steps so everyone knows what is coming next and how we are supposed to field these conversations together. So that's pretty much in a nutshell, guys. Allows you to stop people from ghosting you. Do you understand your winning zone? Are you clear about what your buyer persona does? And have you got very, very clear next steps that both of you have committed to or agreed upon? Because we cannot go and impose something on our prospect that they have not agreed upon. That damages rapport and it eliminates trust. Cool. So that's the 22 minutes. It all flew by. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Shayna, for your very insightful presentation and sharing knowledge that we can all take away to ponder about. So, colleagues, we will now commence with the question and answer session. There is a couple of questions in our chat box. I'll start with this one. Shayna, what do you suggest as a strategy to reconnect with someone who has ghosted us?
Okay, so I think one of the most important things is to go back and look at that initial conversation, okay? Have we got enough context from this prospect to allow us, if we can, thank you so much everyone for the wishes and thanks, I appreciate it. Have we got enough pain from this persona to see if we can solve and help them eliminate that pain that they are experiencing right now? What value are we able to provide that prospect? If we have not, then we maybe need to pick up the phone and try and get hold of them, or send an email and say, Mr. Prospect, I obviously dropped the ball in this one, and I'd really appreciate if you could give me a second chance. Typically when we work with CFOs or CSOs, we found that 1, 2, 3 is some of the top priorities for them. And I just want to check, is this still your agenda that you're looking to solve right now? From there, then you can start moving that traction. Alternatively, if they ghost you completely, you can touch base every now and then, but then after 3 months, I would say step back or come up with a cadence within your company. And you can even send them a breakup email and say, Mr. Prospect, I'm closing your file. And then you can put them back into your cadence maybe 6 months or 3 months later and touch base with them. Guys, it's also really important to remember, as sales professional, your time is also valuable. And it's really important for us to meet professionals as a professional. Thank you.
Thank you, Shayna. So the next question is, how do we unlock the true value of what the client requires, even when you know that you as a service provider meets and ticks all the client requirements?
You uncover so much pain in that client's life. You go and you be very specific to who they are and their job that they need to do. It is such an important thing, because if you can see the value that you can add and they are not getting it, you haven't spoken to their pain points, and pain is personal. Thanks.
Okay, so the next question is, how do you position your offering from a costing perspective, and how do you get to know what their budget is when they at times they are not obliged or just don't fully disclose?
Have we asked them what their budget is? It's all about asking questions, guys. When we go to a specialist, we know that we're going to pay out of our noses. I don't like doctors, right? But we know that we're going to pay a certain context. In sales, we've got to be comfortable about talking about money and understanding, does this prospect have the money to spend with us? Or could we maybe get them in smaller deals to help them achieve their future focus? We want to give them the goal, that long-term goal, and we want to be the people that help them get there.
Okay, so why do clients 99% of the time not tell you as a service provider where you have technically or from a costing perspective have failed to land the prospect?
Because you haven't provided enough value in your conversation, and you need to actually uncover that. I saw someone just quickly, Belela, if you don't mind me just stepping in here, someone said to me, this is very similar to spin. Yes, we work in a sales, well, I train and work in a sales methodology called triangle selling. And it can sit within any methodology that exists right now. But basically what we want to do is the three aspects of the triangle is the reason. So what is the reason that this prospect would want to buy from us? Then we look at the resources, and this comes to speak to budget, technology, are there human champions? We are constantly uncovering those 7 resources to check how this is working. And then there's resistance, and often everyone goes, resistant, let's go into combat. No, we look at resistance as an opportunity to have further conversations with people. And constantly through your sales process, you are navigating through those 3. There's no 1-step, 2-step linear process. No, because as I said to you earlier, the bias circle and cycle has completely changed. We, as sales professionals, need to adapt to where our buyer is on their journey as of today. Thanks.
Okay, so it says here, the definition of uniqueness is being one of a kind. What are the other components to focus on outside features of your product or service that differentiates you from your competitors?
I suppose the most important thing for you to remember is, why do you think you can solve and help this person alleviate some kind of pain in their world today? From that belief, you need to take it out of your mind and you need to change it up and put it into simple language, and it is very specific to that person. I cannot highlight or exclamation mark it enough. Get to know the people that you are buying to. We cannot go with a generic blur and just projectile vomit all this feature information at them. And I'm not saying anyone is, but I have seen it in the past. We have to have very specific conversations. As soon as you can unlock that pain, and then you listen by asking very clear questions and getting those answers, people will tell you what they can do. It's like in dating, right? I spoke about it earlier. People often tell you within the first, 30 seconds of meeting them of what they can give you. We are just the ones who build up the hope of what we want it to become, right? It's the same in any kind of conversation. Did I answer that question, Aya?
Yeah, I think so, Shayna.
Thank you.
So next question is, Wayne asks, I'm new to an industry, services, that I'm still coming to grips with.
Yes.
How would I go about defining my company's winning zone?
Okay, that's a great question. If anyone ever needs any help, guys, you can find me on LinkedIn. My company does this. But what I would look at is you need to kind of break it down and look at like, what are the 5 attributes that build that winning zone for you? So it could be things like, is it company size? Is it geographic location? Is it industry? And you start to tweak that. And you can look at what is an ideal customer, what is your rejected customer, and good becomes in between. You want to play in your ideal space. I hope that it's a broad perspective, but it just starts to look at, because I mean, the corporate world, the business world is so vast. It just helps us start breaking it down and becoming more and more specific. Also, go and look at who you've successfully sold to in the past. And why did you win there? Why was that successful with that past customer? And start to find similar looking customers in that space. I think that's a great starting point for someone new to the business.
Okay, so colleagues, I see someone is asking about the recording of the session. Just a reminder that it will be made available on our website, www.percosa.co.za, and follow us on our social media as well, because a reminder and a link to the recording will be available on Twitter, Facebook, as well as LinkedIn. We are Perco SA. So another question is, how do we get new customers to open up about their pain when that information is not in the public domain?
You build your questions. What is your intention to go in? It's not about you, it's to find out about them. And can you do business with them going forward? So everything changes. In sales, we've always, previously, in many years ago, and that's why I'm so passionate about this, because it's about changing up our communication skills as sales professionals and leading with integrity. It's so important for us to go and understand who are the people we are communicating with and what do they care about. How do I then switch my messaging, not in a manipulative way, in a really truthful way, to make sure that I can assist them with what they are struggling with today?
Okay, so Catherine asks, how does one articulate value in a highly competitive and homogeneous market? Yeah.
Value comes with uncovering the pain, guys. I'm going to keep saying it. Pain is personal. Pain moves that needle. If you yourself do not believe in what you are offering your clients, how do you expect them to believe it themselves? Ayobelela and I could be experiencing and having a conversation about something specific. And then I go and have a conversation with Ayanda, and it's something different. But they're 2 different pains. We've got to acknowledge that. Stop putting your prospects through the same funnel, through the same generic conversations. It doesn't work anymore.
Okay, so Ngululeko asks, does trust play a role? How do you cross the line where the client stops thinking you are just selling and begins to trust what you are saying and selling?
It's a great question, because often we think like when it comes to rapport and building trust, we have to like converse. I had a client the other day telling me that she had to take clients out for lunch and got to know about the 4 dogs, and her children. And I said to her, how does the 4 dogs help you sign your deal? So trust, guys, is gathered by ensuring that your prospect knows what is coming next. Have we been very specific and not acknowledged who they are? And we have a framework that speaks to this, which manages rapport, right? Do what you say you're going to do. If you're going to say I'm backing off, back off, guys. Or if you're going to follow through and send an email that is informative or send a customer story, do it. Follow through with what you've said. The more we do that, people go, okay, so this person actually follows through, because there are a lot of people out there who ain't, right? And the other thing is, in terms of building trust, is sometimes we need to, as a salesperson, take a step back and go, Mr. Prospect, from what we've discussed, we've come to this decision of that, yes, our product is a great fit for you, but I'm really concerned that you're busy rolling out a whole other training program right now. I'm just concerned that this might clash with us implementing our tool. What are your thoughts about that? What does that do, guys? It's not about me, it's about your prospect. And suddenly you're going, I'm willing to actually back off a little so that you are in the best position. We're here to help our prospects win.
Okay, thank you, Shayna. So Christelle wants to know, As a salesperson, what do you do when your company marketing collateral creates confusion and does not build trust or connection with prospects?
It's such a hard one. There's always been this conflict between marketing and sales. Marketing's out there trying to get us qualified leads, do all the things, and sales are kind of going, well, you're not really supporting us in this thing. So I completely understand, Crystal, where you're coming from. I think the most important thing is for you is maybe you can sit down with your marketing manager and say, what customer stories have we got from previous that could help me then target these people in this specific market? When you speak that value. If there's confusion, you need to put up your hand and say, are our prospects different from us? Because I'm in sales and you're in marketing, but we're talking two different languages. That's why with like the Sales Enablement Company that I work for, we work with a lot of frameworks and acronyms. And what that does is it allows to work through a whole bunch of knowledge, but allows everyone to start speaking the same language and know that the focus is the same. So you keep moving that needle. So maybe it's just, Crystal, having a meeting with your managing and sales team and saying, guys, we've got two things happening here. Is there any way that we could start to align it together as a team?
Okay, so Nkululeko again wants to know, when it comes to the positioning of the offering, we at times add value to our prospects and target their need more than their want based on research performed but at times it seems as though it's more of a fishing expedition than a true RFQ or RFP. It would be nice to differentiate this. And then, okay, that's basically a comment from...
huge. Yeah. Just ask the right questions, Nkululeko. You'll get, the truth will set you free, guys. The truth will always set you free.
Okay, so the last question here is from Nicholas, and they want to know, what is more important to you, process or results?
Well, if you have the right process, you're going to get the right results, right? A doctor has a very clear process. You go in, you sit down, and they start asking you questions to diagnose what's going on, and then they write you a script. It's the same thing. You know, lawyers go and they sit the bar so that they can pass. It's the same thing for us as sales. Have a clear process that is simple, guys. It's simple for you and it's simple for your prospects, and it's easy to communicate and follow through. If, you know, we as salespeople, it's an amazing thing. We're CEOs of our own desks, right? That's what's super cool about it. But the most important thing for us to know is like, if I do this over and over time with repeatable, clear steps, I start to see, because often we're going, okay, so I'm going to try this with this prospect, and then I'm going to try this. How do we measure? How do we A/B test what's working? So get a clear, simple process and make sure that you follow through on those steps. Meet your buyer where they are on their journey and make it easy for them to understand how you can add value to their life, and communicate clear next steps that everyone agrees on. And if you follow those, you'll be good.
Thank you so much, Shayna. That basically concludes our Q&A session. And thank you so much, colleagues, for fielding questions in the chat box. Okay, Shayna, I'll take this question. We have one more question from Donovan, and he asks, how does one set themselves up for a long-term partnership with our clients once we close them so that they can become repeat clients?
That's a great question. So a lot of times, you know, when it comes to customer success, we think that it's all about relationship building and that it's an emotional process. It's not, it's professional. So we follow through. We make sure that that client onboarding, when they've purchased from us, is successful, that everyone knows what's going to be happening next, and we follow through. There, you build yourself as a trusted prospect, a trusted advisor. And the other thing is, sometimes if we know that if they are looking for something else, and we may have someone in our network who could assist them, you can set them up together. So that's how you continue that. Be a human, guys. What would you want? Just be a human.
Thank you so much, Shayna. So, colleagues, like I said, that concludes our Q&A session. And now I will commence with the lucky prize draw, where I will choose where I'll choose a winner for the 1,000 Rand Take-A-Lot voucher. So I have some names in this jar, and then I'll just choose one. So the winner for the 1,000 Rand Take a Lot voucher is Milton Mabunda, the director at Center Cruise Trading. Congratulations, Milton. Your 1,000 Rand Take a Lot voucher will make its way to you shortly.
Ooh,
So
yes,
thank you so much,
Milton.
colleagues. And in conclusion, I would like to thank Shayna for her brilliant presentation. Thank you to all of you who joined the Poco SA Ponder presentation series today. And thank you to Davey for assisting in hosting the event today.
Thank you, Davey.
And goodbye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you, Ayabulela. And guys, connect with me on LinkedIn. We do quite a few talks for free every month. So get in touch, find me. It was so lovely to share this with you. And thank you for being present. And thank you so much, Perko, for this opportunity. You guys are awesome.